to continue. Mr. Barella, please.
Madam Chair. Madam
Y-
Chair,
y-
can you hear me?
yes, sir.
May I have I'd like to make a comment before
Please.
Mr. Varela appears on the
Please.
podium.
Of course.
If you go back in history for the people at the commission meeting today, Representative Easley vacancy came and it was not, the session was not going on. It was in the middle of the summer, I believe. Therefore, the governor had all kinds of time to make a choice that she wanted to make. This was an emergency meeting called by because of the time that we had for the legislature to end. And as far as I'm concerned, the emergency was, it was the small communities, the small poor counties, poverty counties, Albuquerque, Bernalillo County, Santa Fe County, those counties, money-wise, we can never compete with them. But the people from the smaller counties, the poorer counties, capital outlay might be something that life or death for them. That's why it might be a little bit, putting a little bit dramatic. But those people rely on that money for their progress, to get their communities' projects going. Some of those projects mean a lot to them. And the reason that meeting is, I believe, is very much an emergency. Like I said, and I would not do it any other different than the way I did it that time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Barella, please.
Ted Barella, Town of Estancia resident, and Sunday's nomination, I guess. I stand here and I listen to what goes on back and forth, and I can understand the points of view. I really can. I'm with George. I'm not responsible for another party and whether or not they can have a meeting and submit a name. Today, I stand here humbly because I hope that Torrance County can look through the list and truly do what you said, and that's nominate the best person that's suited to represent this county and to represent the entire district. It's not about just Torrance County, it's about the entire district. Phil Griego, you know what? He looked at our entire district. I'm a benefactor of that. When I was mayor, you know what? Phil Griego was willing to help out the town of Estancia and Torrance County. The manager and I and some of the commissioners went up there personally and met in his office to discuss issues. And he listened. Now, can we provide somebody that can do the same thing? And, you know, you guys have a tough job. I'm not here to judge or defend either the county commission nor the governor's office. However, I think it would behoove our county to submit somebody to represent District 39. Thank you.
Mr. Barella, I have a question to you as a chairman for the Republican Party. How you were notified about this vacancy?
How was I notified? Mr. Candelaria called me.
Okay, thank you.
He asked me if I was aware that a letter had been sent out.
Okay.
That's how I was notified.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone who wants to speak? Please, sir.
Tom Oler, Estancia. For the record, I would like to point out that economic duress was not used as a reason for calling that meeting this past Sunday. Economic duress was not brought before these people until the law was read. And then Mr. Candelaria, by remote, simply repeated that. Economic duress was not mentioned in that opening statement, nor was injury to people mentioned in that opening statement. There was only one reason mentioned for calling that meeting, and that was a call from the office of the governor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Godin, please.
Very quick comment. The other problem is that, it's kind of a double bad problem, and that is the other problem. At the meeting on Sunday, Candelaria did not have public comment. So you run into another problem, and that is that, I know there is a law going through the legislature, I believe, to require public comment, but I think that, the spirit of Open Meetings Act, Candelaria is violated grossly, particularly in that meeting on Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Unless anybody else wants to go before me. I wanted to make a clarification. In my letter, I'm not questioning the validity of the Republican meeting at all. You guys live by a different set of bylaws and rules than the Democratic Party does. That is not what I said in my letter. What I said was, we are asking for equal notification. We should have been given equal notification of the governor's demand letter by our county commissioners. Do you agree that you serve the entire community, not just the Republican Party?
Yes.
I'd like to have a clarification and an answer from Mr. Candelaria, since he is the one that contacted Mr. Barella for the Republican Party. And no, it's not your responsibility to worry about the Democratic Party's opportunity to do it. But we have a different measurement of rules and regulations. And had we been notified on Saturday by Mr. Candelaria of the same information and a copy of the letter, I would not be here, and a lot of people would not be angry. Now, we are all aware of the fact that, yes, when Dr. Easley passed away, it was not in session. But we had other legislators out of session last year, and that was not considered an emergency.
This year.
We know by experience that the governor is going to appoint a Republican. We are not expecting her to appoint a Democrat. But we still, believe it or not, as idealistic and Pollyanna as you may think this is, we still think that you and I, Jim, Julia, Mr. Candelaria, Dennis Wallen, who is a member of our party, that we're all in a small community. Too many of us know everybody and everything. So you would have thought it would have been so easy. We're all on social media. It would have been so easy to simply copy and paste the letter and email it to the party or to the state party to send on to the county party, even if you didn't know that I was the chair. But I think everybody knows that I'm the chairman of the Democratic Party. Had a little lip there. By the way, half my family is Republican, so I'm not anti-Republican. I just don't agree with Republicans on a lot of policy issues. But if you agree that you serve the entire public, then the same courtesy must be afforded to all political parties within the county. When my husband was mayor, And he was also the chairman of the Democratic Party, and Mr. Swanka was chairman of the Republican Party at the same time. They shared information with each other on a regular basis. There was a particular time when Steve Pierce was coming in to Torrance County, and Art and Dixie Swanka had no knowledge of it. We contacted them immediately, out of courtesy. That's all we're asking for, is equal access to the information and equal courtesy between parties. We don't have to love each other. We don't have to agree with each other. But we must act as civil representatives of our governing body so that we ask the people that agree with us politically and vote as citizens and taxpayers can conduct themselves in a civil fashion. That's all we're asking. Okay? I did not question the validity of his qualifications, Mr. Barilla. He and my husband served with the town of Estancia for many years together. This is simply a governance issue that we need to establish from here on out. And that's all we're asking for. If you look at the body and the wording of my letter, I was very careful. Please rectify this notion that you guys only communicate with the Republican Party that you guys are members of. And then we don't have to get sticky about quorums when you attend your normal political party meetings. Okay? That's all we're asking for, is courtesy and civility. So I would like to have an answer from Commissioner Candelario. Do you also feel like Jim Frost and Julia Descharmes that you serve the entire community and not just the Republican Party of Torrance County?
Will do.
Well, I hope so. I hope that this kind of a situation doesn't happen again in the future. And I would like to make one more clarification. In this last election, we had Matthew McQueen run against Vicky Padilla. That's our choice. And he won and took the district with 55% of the vote. He didn't take Torrance County with the district, obviously, because we actually had a Democratic mayor and Democratic leadership within our own party that endorsed Vicky Perea because she had done a good job, even though she was not from Torrance County. She had done a good job in making sure that Willard and other communities got the monies that they needed for their projects. I am absolutely certain that even if it's a Republican that I absolutely disagree with on a lot of issues, I am certain they're not going to allow Mr. Chavez from Willard and his community to go without the necessary water that they need to survive and to build towards their future. So that's my point of clarification, and I appreciate the opportunity to come back here and make that point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a few notes. It's very sad to me that our governor,
Sir, please state your name.
It's very sad to me that our governor,
State your name, please.
oh, I'm sorry, Barton Hibbs from Estancia.
Thank you.
When she says jump, everybody jumps and doesn't look, and she should give the guidance. She is the leader of our state to say jump, but you got to follow these guidelines. I worked in Santa Fe. I believe in my heart that the conditions for an emergency meeting were not met. I've had to present this before. I had to present it to the Governor Richardson, and it was very, very strict on what the criteria was. So I've been testifying, and the first thing that you say when you have those meetings is this meeting is being held because of either this economic or life safety issue. And that's how the meeting is started. I have worked with Ted Barilla for many years, and Ted and I have done many projects together that have benefited the town and the community. And I have no doubt in my mind that he would do a good job for this area. So that's not my issue. I find it interesting that the Republican Party heard about this resignation through a commissioner, but the commissioner never bothered to tell anybody else, and yet even today we talk that they represent all the people, not just one party. It's also interesting that 2 commissioners were at the Republican meeting that then called the meeting for commissioners. And I really know that Mr. Archuleta defended them, and I think that he's right. The Republican Party did what they needed to do, but it is very interesting that then we go right out of that into a county commission meeting, and we don't have any notice to the Democratic Party by the commissioners who represent all of the county. I think that there's no doubt in my mind that a Republican is going to be appointed, because that's how Susana Martinez is. So I don't know that, no matter what Democratic name would come up, it would even be considered. But I appeal, just like my wife appealed, that if truly this commission represents all the people, then truly let's stop the nonsense of this quick and bully type approach to things, and let all the people have their say and have open hearings and open meetings and not ramrod things through, because that's all this was.
Sir, are you talking about this particular situation, or you are talking now about future?
No, I'm glad we're having a meeting today. I still think it's too quick to actually put names forward, but the meeting I'm talking about was the meeting on Sunday that was really, and I think that I'm glad to see people talking and communicating and opening up, but it's pretty painful to get to this point with all that's happened in the last 4 days.
Thank you. Is there anyone wants to speak? Mr. Candelaria, do you have anything to say?
No.
Okay. Okay. It is a very difficult situation. I felt disappointed and even embarrassed after last meeting, when I learned we will be having another meeting. I think we had a good choice nominating Mr. Barrera last time, but I truly believe when we do it in a hurry, when we rush, we make mistakes. And I think we made a mistake this time when 2 commissioners went to Republican meeting and voted on the same issue they would discuss afterwards. I think it is wrong. I think at least it is unethical. I don't know if it is illegal, and maybe according to the Open Meetings Act it is. That's why I decided, or we are going forward and we accept more applications, or we make a decision today, but I will abstain and it will be up to other commissioners. I don't want to open the county for lawsuits. So, Mr. Candelaria, Mr. Frost, what you will say? What will you say?
Well, as Michigan, I will make a motion that we submit Ted's name to be considered by the governor to fill the position of Senator Phil Griego.
Commissioner Frost?
I'll second that.
Please, let's vote. Or we have discussion now? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of discussion, but I could go back to Sunday's meeting. I don't know why to go back to it, because if we don't go by that one, we'll have to go by this one. So I think that we can't go backwards. We can always only do today's meeting and go forward. But I will make one mention about the Sunday meeting, and it was mentioned that Commissioner Candelaria and I had collusion, I guess, to nominate Mr. Barella. That's not true in any way, and I will say one other thing that I probably shouldn't tell Ted, but I did not vote for you, Ted, in that Republican meeting. And that's the truth. I'm happy that you are the candidate, or maybe will be. I have complete faith in you to be a good one, but I just would like other people to know where I'm coming from also. And I think most people that know me know that I don't do Republican or Democrat. I do people. Some of my best friends in all parts of my life are Democrat. That's all I have to say. And I did second the motion.
Thank you, sir. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I will abstain. Motion carries.
We need a roll call. Do you want to do a roll call? Is that what you do?
That'd be good.
Let's do a roll call. District 1,
Yes.
District 2, I will abstain. District 3,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.